help?
time.
Need help with those bags?
Hey, Dad, it's okay. I've got him.
You sure? Okay. Hey, how are you?
Ben,
Good to see you.
good to see you.
So glad you guys decided to come.
Not sure it was the best idea.
Glad you're here. Don't you think it's better to be with family?
Oh, of course it is.
This is a very visceral journey into her trauma. There's a great sense of intrigue of what was amiss and why everyone was kind of tiptoeing around her. The heavy shadows that followed her, and it unraveled in such a powerful way. My goodness. The way that memories are unreliable, but can just crash over you when you least expect it. Almost like waves, and you're drowning underneath them. So I thought that those final images on the precipice with the waves crashing into the rock was really, really powerful. And then we got her rocks holding her back from the inevitable. Gorgeous cinematography. I thought the location and the power of nature surrounding them made for a beautiful final moment of support and solidarity. And I just think it's a really important piece.
I thought the cinematography was stunning. I really specifically liked the aerial shots. I thought that was really cool, especially when the main actress, when Hannah's, running and we're having to follow her and it's just like us up top. I thought that looked so cool. In a general sense, I thought the actress was amazing. I think she really put her all into it and she had so much raw emotion. She's really good at crying on demand. And I felt so much pain from her. And I loved how it was also a little frustrating as the audience because we didn't know what was going on with her. We had to slowly piece together why she was so emotional and why she was giving her family a little bit of a hard time and why they couldn't connect with her, which made the ending even more satisfying once we figured out what was going on. I honestly also really enjoyed just kind of the way the plot happened. I like how we were kind of thrust into basically the ending of her denial phase in which she is not able to process what had happened fully. It's been a year, as they had mentioned, and kind of being pushed right into the moment in which she's at her breaking point, and being home is her breaking point. So I thought that was really interesting as well, as opposed to seeing it build up. We're kind of already at the end of her turmoil and her having to finally come to terms with the fact that she can't remember what happened. But I also really loved the just kind of how it ended up being that for her to remember what happened, she had to come back. She had to face what she had been avoiding. And I think that was also a very important theme as well, just in life, because unfortunately, school shootings are such a norm here. It's really disgusting, but it's such a norm. And I feel like once in a while we forget to focus on how it affects the teachers and the caregivers who put their lives on the line for our children.
It was a very emotional piece. Obviously, the subject matter was quite intense. I thought the piece had a great sense of empathy and compassion that made the piece not feel exploitative. I thought the central performers really helped to carry the emotional undercurrent of the piece. Obviously, over the course of the narrative, you think it's a returning to home queer story. You don't necessarily anticipate what is the underlying emotional trauma there, but I think a lot of that is the point of the piece and of people trying to process trauma and work from it in a way that is quite difficult and easy and not quite easy to process. And I think the piece had a lot of self-awareness and a lot of care in trying to construct this conceit in a way that is respectful to the children in particular. So I think the piece was well done for those reasons.
Uncovers grief, this uncovers suffering, this uncovers trauma at its core, and sometimes not being able to remember the memories that have impacted you so much that it changes your way to life. We follow this character. She's coming home to her family. They're really trying to be there for her and be supportive, but she is not really coming to terms with the reality that she's faced. And so as we start uncovering the pieces of the story here. We in the end, she's literally running away from her problems and running away from these memories, but they force her to face the truth anyway, which I think is a very powerful sequence.
Really deep. It deals with some very intense issues, but I feel like it does an amazing job of being respectful of said issues. Uh, it deals with the topics of trauma and survivor's guilt and tragedy, and it's a very compelling narrative in the way that no one is villainized in this movie. The ambiguity was very good because it's constantly making you ask questions. You have no idea what's going on, but it's slowly dropping that information throughout the short. And so it's giving you just enough information to keep you satiated, but there's still so many questions you want to learn more about as you're putting these pieces together. But going back to the original topic, everyone here is very human. It was a very tragic moment for everyone involved, and everyone has been processing however they can. But I think it was a very powerful story, and again, I feel like it was very respectfully told.
Beautiful setting. I really loved the setting with, because to me it's like, oh, you're in this beautiful place by the ocean, but you're suffering inside. So I thought the setting made sense, and that it was a beautiful, day, light. It wasn't super dark setting to go with the tone of how she was feeling. It was going with the outside world, and her inside was not matching the outside, in my opinion. So I thought that was a really great choice. The opening drone shot to show the whole landscape was perfect. Really nice flashbacks to kind of bring us into her world and that she was starting to remember things. I love the line because to me the struggle with the mom was real too, and I really love that that was put in there, and it wasn't just all about her, but it was about the mom and the parents as well, and the wife. But the lines that the mom had I thought were really, really important to have in there. So I love that the dad, when the mom said she lived and the dad said no, she survived. That gives me goosebumps every time. Because as I said it gave me goosebumps again. I just really great line there. So great writing, great structure of this story. I really liked the structure. Really wonderful performance on the main actress's part, but all of the people had great performances throughout, but hers really was, was great.
The big events like this have such a widespreading impact that I think a lot of people don't really realize just how big the impact can be and how far-reaching it can be. It's not just the people involved, it's not just their close families, it spreads out farther, and it has a more lasting effect than I think anybody realizes or likes to talk about. I feel like when it's some big thing that happened, an earthquake, a natural disaster, a school shooting, some event that has happened, I feel like there's a lot of like attention that it grabs, and there's a lot of spotlight on it right after, but not necessarily anytime after the initial event takes place. There's usually not a lasting effect, there's not a lasting attention on it, and I think that tends to lead people to believe that it is maybe not easily but more quickly processed, and that's just not true. And I think this did a really good job of showing that.